And joining us on the line right now, you know him, you love him. He's our regular Monday morning guest, legal analyst Joe DiGenova. Good morning to you, Joe.
Good morning, everybody.
Well, it's good to have you on the board. I know that you were watching, as many Americans were, standing by with a worm on your tongue. That's another way of saying with bated breath. And to hear the announcement that, surprise, Hillary wants to be the next president of the United States. What was your thought?
Well, it was a perfect rollout for her. I want to disagree with Reince Priebus a little bit. And for her, it's perfect. She doesn't have to deal with people because she's not a people person. No actual presence, no questions. It was kind of gauzy. She's not a good campaigner or a retail politician. It was pure happy talk, very smooth. Of course, the word that caught me, or the phrase, was the journey. It's a nice narrative. Of course, it's episodic and it won't last because inevitably she's going to have to deal with reality, which was her tenure as Secretary of State. And then the Republicans have to have a message, and it has to be consistent. And I think the one that really hurts her, that really hurts her badly, is that she's not honest, that she's slippery, that she cuts ethical corners. What difference at this point does it make? That she's out of touch, that she's clumsy, that she has a tin ear. It is inevitable that she's going to have to actually talk to somebody at some point. She will do everything she can to avoid interviews because she's simply not good at them. And in fact, she's not likable enough, as the president once said about her. That's her problem. She's basically a pretty ugly person, and what they did in that video is make her attractive. But unfortunately, life's not a video.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very mad. I mean, you can be sure of this. Apparently, she's driving from New York to Iowa.
Great.
In a van.
Yeah.
And we only know this because, apparently she was seen pumping gas.
Driving.
Somebody's driving Miss Hillary.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. Don't you imagine that what this is really all about is they got a camera crew following her when she gets out at a truck stop, to have these, encounters with everyday Americans, that they're getting all that together, and they'll leave all of the awkward stuff on the cutting room floor and show those great moments where she's laughing and cutting up and pumping gas.
Well, as I said, they have to package her because she is the worst package in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, she is just horrible. And that's why I have confidence that Reince Priebus will run a set of commercials starting almost now about who she really is and the nastiness and the corruption and the duplicity and the lying and the slipperiness and the dishonesty. That's what hurts her. Dishonesty is her enemy. I mean, that description of her as fundamentally dishonest person, it flies in the face of all this gauzy and pretty stuff and this so-called journey. I mean, the journey thing, obviously, it's so trite that they pick it up by putting her in a van and having her take a journey. I mean, they really, and by the way, their presumption that the American people are not very astute is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Because Americans don't pay attention until the very last minute. That's why, if she's able to define herself as the journey, she can win. That's why it's important for the Republicans to start destroying her right now.
Joe, I got to ask, because you, as a political observer, you spend much of your time, I would think, Joe, observing the other side, figuring out what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing. And I don't get this. In 2008, Hillary Clinton couldn't get the nomination. You can argue that she was better poised then than she is now. Now she has the baggage of Benghazi. She has the baggage of the Obama policies that she is going to be forced to support if she wants the party nomination. She's got the baggage of the Iranian deal and other disasters that have happened while she was Secretary of State. What are they thinking, the Democrats? I mean, and who emerges here? Someone's going to emerge just like they emerged in 2008 to stop her, don't you think?
I think there will be a challenge from the left, but it will not be Elizabeth Warren. I think there is a yearning for someone else to get out there and set themselves up in case she loses for the 2020 campaign. Hillary's problems are real, but they believe that they can skirt them and avoid them by doing this gauzy journey crap.
Well, you also said skirt them. Let's face it. They're hoping that the momentum for a woman, any woman, is enough to push it through.
Well, this is the inevitable Democratic playbook. First the black president, now the woman. I mean, this is what they're thinking. The Republicans have to have a very strong counter message, and that means either a woman or a Hispanic on the ticket. They have to. There isn't even a choice for the Republicans. If they have two white males, they're dead meat. It's real simple.
So Rubio and Carly Fiorina are
Carly
emerging.
Fiorina is not my cup of tea. I just don't think she works. I mean, I like the way she attacks Hillary. I think she's very good at it. And by the way, I think it's very important that women attack Hillary, not just Republican males.
Yeah.
We've got to have women out there attacking her and taking her down. That's very, very important. We got too many white guys who look like the guys that own Denny's.
Let me turn. Let me turn to another candidate, or will-be candidate, Governor Christie. The George Washington Bridge investigation, which has been lingering forever, is apparently coming to a close soon. What do you think about that?
Well, I think Christie's not going to be able to get the nomination, period, regardless of what happens with the indictments. I think he is over, and the reason is he doesn't play well. He just isn't the kind of person the American people want right now. He's too bombastic. He's too confrontational. We have learned over the last few years that Americans have become wusses. They don't like confrontation. They like nice people. If you're going to have an argument, keep your voice down. I mean, they're like the people in Montgomery County. They always raise their taxes, but they never raise their voices. That's where we are in America. America has become a nation of wusses. And the fact that the movie about the American sniper was such a hit stunned me, because that's not where America is. I mean, it's amazing. I look at the people who run for office and the way they conduct themselves. Look at Martin O'Malley. I mean, he conducts his campaign in a whisper. I mean, he doesn't want to raise his voice. He's afraid that if he becomes too real, people will not like him. I mean, we are in a strange place. That's why Hillary is so dangerous. Because if you do enough gauze and enough journey and enough smoothness, you can actually mesmerize the American people who pay no attention to this stuff until the very last minute. Christie's just the wrong guy. I mean, I cannot conceive of him. I can conceive of him being like labor secretary.
Joe DiGenova, real fast, one other big story that hit last week was this shooting that was caught on video, South Carolina police officer and a fleeing black man. Is there any justification for this from what you can see now that we've got a little bit more information?
Absolutely not.
It's ridiculous, Here,
put yourself down. Remember, it is the aftermath. But this officer was not threatened. This is nonsense. Look at where we are. The officer has his driver's license. He has the car. He knows the guy's identity. What in the world? There's no offense worth chasing anybody for. Why not just get a warrant for it?
Yeah.
I mean, why shoot the guy in the back? I mean, this is absolutely, totally unjustifiable because there's no legitimate law enforcement purpose for pursuing the guy. Let him go. Why would you put your own life at risk as an officer by pursuing somebody on what at best is a misdemeanor, if it's anything?
There's now a movement on, Joe, to keep cops from pulling people over for broken taillights. I mean, is that a gross overreaction?
Well, that's not going to happen because you have to have the ability to enforce motor laws.
But it is used in an abusive way sometimes, isn't it?
There's no doubt that pretextual stops, as they are known in the law, in other words, a fake reason, I mean, a real reason, but nonetheless not really a reason, is used to pull over.
It's used all the time.
Yes.
I had a cop tell me one time that he could follow anybody for about 3 blocks and find a legitimate reason to pull them over.
Well, I had a police officer stop me outside of the Palm one night. I was in the car. It was late. I assumed, I don't know, he was on a motorcycle. The first time I saw a cop on a motorcycle in D.C. since a parade. Guy, I went to on the M Street, and you know how you sneak out because it's a right turn on red, and I pulled out a little bit, I stopped. I pulled out a little bit, I stopped. And I was looking to my left to make sure. The guy comes up and says, "You didn't stop." I said, "I stopped 5 times." And I had a conversation with him, but I immediately had my driver's license and registration. I was very respectful. I said, "Officer, is there a problem?" He said, "You didn't stop." I said, "Well, with all due respect, I did." I mean, we had like a 10-minute conversation. Eventually, he let me go. But he was trying to see whether or not I was drunk. It had nothing to do with me.
That's right.
He saw me come out of the Palm. He saw me get in the car, and he figured, that guy's drunk. I'm going to stop him. Well, of course, I wasn't drunk. But you know, that's a pretextual stop.
Right.
It had nothing to do with it.
All right, we got to leave it there.
Okay, guys.
Always a pleasure, Joe DiGenova.
Don't drink and drive.
All right.